Just let us know when we're ready, Shelby. Just let us know when.
Not behaving very well today, but I think we should be ready.
I don't have to hear myself on repeat for the next 2 hours. That'd be great.
Hi again.
I can, yes.
Okay.
Hooray, you fixed it. Thank you. Welcome to the August meeting of the Library Board of Trustees. I'm Sharon Fitzsimmons, board chair. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves, starting with Bob. Sorry.
Chuck Stein. Bob Donaldson.
Dorothy Waters.
John Johnston.
And can we get staff who are present as well, please?
I'm Michael Blackwell, director at St. Mary's County Library.
Shelby Miller, admin assistant.
Belinda Lloyd, HR and finance coordinator.
Mary Ann Bowman, deputy director. Amy Ford, Lexington Park branch manager. Rainy Nguyen, teen librarian.
Corey Somerville, assistant branch manager, facilities and security.
Rita Baldwin, assistant branch manager.
Denise Varela, assistant branch manager.
Brianna Thorne, adult services librarian.
Tammy Jones, customer service. LaRonda Gray, library assistant.
Ben Clements, librarian to youth services.
Zane Krisoff, library assistant.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum, so I would like to approve the August agenda and just move in. I'll entertain a motion to approve the August agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Dorothy moves to approve the agenda.
Okay.
Bob seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Oh, and online. I'm so sorry, Judith. Online we have Judith, you want to introduce yourself?
Judith Gwynn, board treasurer on Zoom.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, approval of the June 2026 minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026 minutes.
So moved. Sorry.
Chuck moves to approve the 2026 minutes.
Second.
And John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Michael, over to you for the celebrations.
Well, thank you. We have quite a few of them this morning. And the first are milestones, and we have anniversaries of employment. And the first is for Ziggy Smith. Ziggy's not here today. She's at Charlotte Hall, and that's for 5 years of service. Congratulations in absentia, Ziggy. We appreciate your service to the library. The next, Brianna. Come on up. Come on up. And you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Many of you are too young to remember what that's even referring to. Right, Brianna, congratulations. You've had 5 years of service. And Brianna said at winter time, I'm going to say anything.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, you get a pin too. Here you go. 5 years of service. There we go. And the next one is for Tammy. Come on up, Tammy. And this one is for 20 years. Ooh, that's not working. This one's for 20. Is that better? This one's for 20 years. Tammy, congratulations on 20 wonderful years. Tammy's here at Lexington Park. Do you want to sing? 20 years, congratulations. That's wonderful. Okay, let's see. Next, we have congratulations for finishing early start Lottie, and that's for Serena and Kristen. For completing a bachelor's degree, Corey.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Thank
You want to say anything?
I spent quite the academic journey. Started in 2016, part-time, trudged right along. I'm glad it's over. I mean, additional professional and personal duties. It's time, so thank you.
Well, I need three people to come up, and that is Rini, Rita, and Denise.
We don't have those for them.
We don't have those yet? Oh, okay. Those are right here. All right. These three people have finished a Master of Library and Information Science degree. So congratulations to all of you. It's black. So someone's got to come here and take a picture of all of them holding up their flags.
Also would like to say that all of them were supported with a SMARLA tuition reimbursement.
Thank you. We're all excited about the free time we're getting back.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, wonderful. Thank you so much. Smear your flags.
And then University, St. Catherine University.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So next, and we'll be getting you your certificates. If you could come on up, Zane, Melissa, LaRonda, some of you aren't here, I know. Mary Beth, Ben, Liv, Kayla, and Ariel. You are here, do please come on up. So, as you might be aware, it's been a kind of hot summer. And on July 4th, the heat index was scheduled to be 112 degrees. The library was not scheduled to be open, but these people stepped up to make sure that there was at least one place in the county which was open as a cooling center. So the library was scheduled to be closed, but you made sure at least one community space was available as an emergency cooling shelter on a day when the heat was dangerous and possibly even life-threatening. Thank you for your willingness to help the community in a difficult time. And at least a couple of you were over at the county. The county commissioners also recognized them for that contribution and deeply appreciative of it. Giving up a holiday, but being here. They had games set up. There were refreshments set up. They were ready. So thank you so much, all.
Just happy to help.
Thank you.
Good job.
But wait, there's more. For working on the summer lunch and snack program, Irma, LaRonda, and Kayla. Only LaRonda's here. There it is. Next month, when it's done, we'll be giving you a complete update on this program, but we've been having summer snack program here based on community contributions, which have just been amazing and generous. So through your hard work in supporting the summer snack program, you help make it possible for our library to provide healthy, nutritious meals to children during the summer months. The dedication and compassion were instrumental in launching and sustaining a successful new program. Your commitment to serving others reflects the very best of our library and our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure, and I hope we were able to do it again next year. I would love to participate again.
We'll do that. So next, for managing the summer lunch and snack program, we have Denise. I'm sorry, coordinating hot lunches, Shelby and Denise. Please come on up with it. Make sure I've got the right one. Yep, sure enough. And I understand you would actually like to talk about the program, so. Somebody finally wants to talk.
I was highly encouraged. We wanted to just give you a rundown of all of the amazing things that we've been able to do this summer for the families that we've served. So we started accepting donations in May, and as of today, we just checked, we have taken in $13,926 in donations from the community. That's just financial donations. Does not include all of the physical snacks that people brought in for us. So we were able to provide hot meals on Wednesdays initially, and then we started adding pizza Mondays too. And almost all of those meals were partially donated by the organizations that we worked with. So we reached out to them, asked if they would be willing to partner with us, and many of them did. So we're really grateful to Papa John's, Slim Chickens, Texas Roadhouse, Chick-fil-A, and Firehouse Subs, who all donated hot meals so that way we could feed families on the summer.
So we did get a big, large amount of donations monetarily, but also the amount of snacks we got was monumental. We needed to add 3 additional shelves in our kitchen to hold all of these snacks, and we still were helping all the various branches were so many. We'll put them to good use. As we said, we've done lunches and snacks Monday through Friday. And we have served a total of 2,489 minutes today, till today. That was a total of 1,659 youth served and an additional 830 adults, which were their caretakers that brought them to the program that we provided. Because there was such a large amount of physical snacks and monetary donations. We also added an additional way of providing snacks for the youth that spent a lot of their time here at the library with us. So just at Lexington Park, with the additional snack hours that we provide Monday, every single day, actually, it's not just weekdays, it's every single day. We have served an additional 402 people. So we're putting all of those donations to good use. And I've got quotes here from participants that have come to our programs. A 3-year-old said with wonder and excitement, "How did they think of this?" Another 3-year-old walking by after the snacks, wiping her mouth. "That was tasty." And then another, "I'm going to give the person who donated all this stuff a hug." This was from a 14-year-old teen. So the impact has definitely been felt. So I would like to thank all of the community members that have stepped up to make sure that all of our youth in the community here have full timings.
Everybody there.
Oh.
And one last one for Shelby. In recognition for your outstanding leadership and dedication to streamlining the integration between the collections and accounting databases. Your commitment to improving the efficiency of fund allocation and strengthening year-round account reconciliation has significantly improved the integrity of the collections process through your focus on collaboration, innovation, and sound accounting principles, establish stronger financial controls, and contributed to a more effective organization. Your exceptional efforts and lasting impact are sincerely appreciated and deserving of this recognition. Congratulations again.
I just, as I've been working with Belinda over the past year and a half now, have been able to sort of reconcile our collections budget with our real budget and making sure that we get the most out of the money that we have towards our collection and making sure we spend it all out. It's obviously really important to us to be able to provide as much as we can towards the collections budget.
Thanks.
All right, so let's move on. Judith, if you'd like to present the treasurer's report.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Everybody got the one page in their package?
This one.
Okay. So, I mean, it's great to do an all good news report. I just tried to simplify it with the main OPEB fund with the gains and the simplified library intern fund with significant gains. So, and I also noted the intern fund reflects the deposit, the withdrawal we made last fall to pay for the intern. So the gain might look a little bit low. Haven't yet paid the 90,027 out of the OPEB fund. So that I will transfer over to the library. And I don't know, question for Michael or Belinda. Do you need the money tomorrow? How often do we pay this, or do we pay one lump sum to the county?
This for the OPEB, we pay the bill monthly, so we can decide when you want to pay us. We could do a quarterly, we could do a 6 months or something like that. We can talk about it and make a decision. You can do that today or next month. There's no rush.
Okay. I guess just first glance, I'd probably say do semi-annual. Maybe do one in September and then one in 6 months. And that way half the money stays in the market, which is good for us. Any thoughts? So I could transfer 45,000 over in September and then another 45,000 in March.
So I think that's a board decision that Judith's asking for feedback from us about if it makes sense to do an every 6-month transfer to pay the OPEB.
I agree with
Otherwise, I
that.
do the entire 90,000. I mean, I could do quarterly too, but that seems a little more complicated.
Whatever's easiest for the staff.
Yeah. So what would be easiest on your side, Belinda?
Less transactions. So I'm fine with 2 year to see.
Okay,
So
sorry.
the second one is definitely before the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think September and March is what you were recommending, Judith?
Yes.
Okay, let's plan that then.
Well, don't you want to have a motion and
Yeah, that's exactly,
okay,
that's
thank you.
where I'm going next. All right, so then I guess I will entertain a motion to have a September and March withdrawal of $45,000 to support the OPEB part of the budget.
So moved.
Bob is moving to do 2 transfers, September and March.
Second?
John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, there you go.
Okay, I don't have anything else. I don't recommend any changes. I think I'm really happy with the returns we've been getting from Vanguard and the ease of being able to get to our accounts directly. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
In a related matter, we receive an OPEB valuation report from Bolton for the audit. We've just received that, so we haven't had a chance to share it with you. We will. It is based upon how you used to look at the OPEB, so nothing changed about that when you said, oh, well, we will just make an annual decision about what we're going to do. So it will look like, there's still millions owed, but that's not necessarily how you're handling it now. Just aware that that's going to appear, and there's been no changes in how you voted to have it administered. So that's what it's going to look like. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Judith. Over to John for the Smyrla report.
We met on Tuesday and we did not have a quorum, so the meeting, everything was limited to discussion, no actions, of course. We had a recap of the United for Libraries virtual conference last month. And another member of the Smyrla board attended as well. And lots of useful information about, in terms of the difference between the board's responsibilities and the director's responsibilities, and also communication. And the other member who attended, she took better notes than I did, quite frankly. She made a PowerPoint of one of the presentations, and I can share that with this board. She sent that to me. Um, let's see here. There was a board survey on the use of Microsoft Teams, just what we get out of it. I asked about the Share It upgrade for the Marina Interlibrary loan. I personally regard that as a positive development to have a newer platform for that or a newer front end. We're going to be meeting on August 25th, since we didn't have the quorum, we're going to be meeting on August 25th just to approve a contract for analyzing Smyrla's website for accessibility. And there was some discussion of the Shaw Hall Library, and I'll defer that to when that comes up on our agenda.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any actions for us or anything we need to know
Not at this time.
specifically? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Over to the director's report.
All right, thank you very much. We're first going to look at the fiscal year 26 budget. And up front, please know that this is not finished. It's just part of the annual process. Belinda works with the accountants, and we're going to assign different values, perhaps here and there. One thing that will be interesting about it when you first look at it, if you look on page 1 under personnel services, you'll see something's encumbered. So anyone want to guess what that is? All right. So the first set of salaries for this fiscal year are going to get moved back. Some of them are going to get moved back because they're actual expenses for the previous year. So that money will be going into that budget. And you see that even after that, there's about $16,000 left. So while an individual line or two may have gone over, the total should be about what we were hoping. And you'll have to do a budget reconciliation once the audit is finished and we kind of know where everything's final. But that's what that encumbered is there for. Other than that, we, not surprisingly, went over in utilities. There's not much we could do about that. Everything else tends to have, for the most part, a slight balance that is positive. So at this point, we're expecting, but again, we won't know absolutely until the audit, that we're not going to dip into the $50,000 that was set aside from the fund balance just to make sure. So we should have a slight positive on the year. We don't know that for sure now, but that's sort of what Belinda's expecting. Belinda, do you want to talk anything about this?
I think you covered most of it, is if anybody has any questions, but as of right now, I'm expecting to not dip into the fund balance. But again, the accountants haven't cleared Q4 yet. So, and that salaries that are encumbered, this is just a guess as to what I believe it might be, or it's pretty close to it. But it's because even though the first pay salary of this fiscal year actually is paid on July 3rd or July 4th, which means that it occurs in fiscal year 27. However, it is for the entire pay period that occurred in fiscal year 26. So because of that, the accountants will look at when the money was made, and they'll move it backwards. And they do this every year. It's part of the plan. It's budgeted into the budget, which is why you see that we aren't actually over. And it's why you'll also see in FY27 that we're over the percentage right now, because it has not been moved back yet. So it's showing in FY27 right now, but encumbered in FY26.
So any questions about the budget for fiscal year 26 now passed? Yes, sir.
I just have one. So if we're over budget, it comes out of the fund. And if we're under budget, it goes into the fund.
Correct.
We don't lose the money.
We do not lose the money.
Yeah, we have the money. The money is already in our bank accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't expect
We,
us to
we,
give
no,
it back.
we don't have to give it back. No, otherwise, I promise you, we'd be going slightly over every year.
They can't prove it's not from them or the state.
Other questions? If not, we'll move on to fiscal year 27. As Belinda just said, you'll notice that personnel services with 8% of the year passed has got 11% expended, and that explains that. So some money is going to roll back. If you look at the health insurance, it's 17% versus the 8 so far as of the start of this month. That's because 2 payments for health insurance were made in this month. So basically, I'm sorry, in July, right, Melinda?
Yes, July.
In July. So that's the reason for that. That's kind of an anomaly. That's not going to be something that lasts for the year. Other than that, there are things that are front loaded. For example, on page 3, you'll see 37% of our virtual services contracts are spent. That's because they come due. Something similar over on page 4, you'll see insurance is at 17%, memberships at 11%. Basically, again, those are some front-loaded things. A lot of memberships come due. We pay our insurance up front. So really, it's too early in the year to sort of make any real calls about where we are on this budget, other than it's important to realize that that number for personnel and for health insurance is an anomaly and not something that is a real issue right now. Well, let's look at something really fun.
Sorry,
And
can
that
I,
is-
Michael,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I need to jump back to the 26 budget
Thank you.
under the income. Where do we show donations, like the donations for the summer lunch program?
They're on page 10. Let me double check that number. Yep. Page 10, we'll break out all of our donations. On page 10 for those summer lunch programs, you're only going to see, how much was it? A few $1,000s.
Mhm.
Oh,
Right.
sorry, that's FOL. Where's my?
It was 1,600.
No, so it's like
Down there.
1,600.
Right. So for the same reason, we did collect $13,000. However, right, but on 26 it's 1,300. So we collected 13,000, but I've already moved some of that money from FY26 to FY27 so that we can carry it forward and use it throughout this year and for next summer's lunches, because we start the lunch in FY27 and end it in FY28. So I've moved forward some of the money that we didn't spend has been moved forward for the lunches. So you'll see the total amount is if you add in what we brought in 26 and what we are showing in 27.
Okay, so if we look in the same spot in the 27 budget, we'll see the remainder of those funds.
Yes.
Does that apply to the donations for the makerspace? Because I know that was like over $100,000. And that was did over
Donations for the
couple years.
makerspace on this line item was not 100,000. There were definitely different grants that we came in.
Mhm.
All of that was spent. We don't have any rollover money for makerspace.
But it went from, you started collecting in 24 and 25, right? So 25 to 26, there might have been rollover.
Yes, so then that's for FY26 budget. The makerspace funds that you'll see on there, they are still on page 10. You'll see a carryover from previous fiscal year column. That's what carried over, 15,000.
Okay,
But
thank you.
But it's all gone now.
Right. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Belinda.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Judith.
Mhm.
So as I say, let's take a look at something fun, which is our fiscal year 26 total statistics. And I sent you a report from the Institute of Museum and Library Services documenting declines that have been happening in the library services. And I'm pleased to note that we are bucking some trends. So our physical circulation was up, now only 1% total, but that, as we'll see in a couple minutes, is better than our regional partners are doing and better than a lot of libraries are doing. There's a lot of reasons for that change. And it has been noticeable since about 2007. What happened in 2007? The first smartphone. 2010, the first tablet. And since then, Library Digital circulation has gone and print circulation has gradually gone down. Now, the digital hasn't balanced out that overall decline, but we can also look at differences in leisure time, social media, online gaming, online gambling, streaming video, um, all contributing to Americans reading less and less, and that's not me saying it. It really seems like in studies that's the case. So I think we can be pleased that we're holding our own in circulation, in physical circulation. We have put $50,000 more into the print budget this year, and we are doing a lot more face out. So I hope that that's going to continue as a trend for us, that we are bucking this sort of overall decline. Digital, we were up more than the average for libraries. That continues to be a growth area for libraries. If you look at our events, we gave 13% more total events for the year, and that was all in person. So our live virtual, our recorded asynchronous, well, that stayed the same. Basically dropped, but you'll see big increases in our in-person and also in our outreach events, 35% more outreach events. So a 13% overall in the number of events. The attendance for those events was up 24% on the year. And again, kudos to outreach for that 31% jump. But if you just look at our regular in-person attendance for our programs, 21% up. If you look at the mobile library, you see that they grew immensely in their events and their community stop visitors, 91% growth there.
I had the opportunity to use the mobile library at the farmer's market, and the staff is very helpful.
We do go to the farmer's market. How was your experience on our mobile
Excellent.
library? If you look over on the next page, you'll see that we had a 6% increase in visitors for the year. Now the mobile library up 32%, but everybody was up. Meeting room use up 8% total, and some of that is due to a large increase in Lexington Park. Leonardtown down a little bit, but they've got nowhere to go but down. I mean, you practically can't get a space there. Computer use, which surprises me, up. And if you look down at the sort of close to the bottom, you see the Tri-County physical circulation, Calvert down 5, Charles down 6, and us up 1. So I really think that the library is thriving in terms of its services. We're well respected, we're well attended, and we will continue to try to excel, but I do think that it's sort of noteworthy that it was a very good year for us. Yes.
So what it looks like is that the print publications circulation is going down and the digital is going up. And the economics between them are quite different.
They are.
And so have you given any thought at all to the fact that if you want to replace the print publication with digital publication, it's going to cost us a lot more?
Boy, are you talking to the right person. Yes, I work at this on a national level. For example, we have 4 national webinars set up that this library does with the Chief Officers of State Library Association, COSLA, and with a vendor called Lyrasis. And I help to organize the American Library Association eBooks Interest Group event at the ALA this summer. So we're well aware of what those costs are. I've published a study on it last year with 3 other colleagues. We know that digital is far more expensive than is print. And so you can try to shift budget from your print over to digital, but it doesn't go as far. So currently, Connecticut and Rhode Island have passed laws, and Washington, D.C. has joined to actually have a law mandating fair ebook costs for libraries. New Jersey and Illinois are expected to join them. This is a movement that we in libraries are aware of and doing our best to try to counter. It's uphill fight. We get very fair digital prices from small publishers, but from the big five who are responsible for at least 80% of bestsellers, they charge, frankly, usurious rates.
So what should the board be aware of in terms of thinking about future budget if in fact this trend continues and we're going to have to budget if we're going to maintain parity in terms of availability of information?
Well,
It's going to cost us a little more.
unfortunately, there's a finite amount. Now, the county did give us a $50,000 increase this year, which will continue in subsequent years. It's not a one-time thing. In terms of how we allocate our money, we're going to have to be very judicious about it. I would say that we're going to get more bang from our buck from print. Even though the digital is going up, we still circulate far more print books. And I will anticipate us staying with a very healthy amount for print and pushing it and just telling people for digital, they're going to have to wait.
Sorry, I was asking a different question.
What is that question, please?
What should the board be thinking about in terms of future budgets? Because in addressing larger budgets is not a short-term effort. It's one that the board needs to be engaged with and understand. So what action would you like us to take with respect to this trend?
Well,
or are there any?
I think I answered it with my initial statement, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's a finite amount. I don't see us seeing major increases in the budget for this. I would hope that we can continue to prevail upon the county to continue funding the collection at a high level.
Okay, I'm asking a different, actually what I'm asking is, I think you need to make sure that the board in any strategic planning factors this trend in as we do the strategic plan for the future of the library. And I think that it's not the tactics I'm concerned about, because of course it's a finite amount of money that's available to be spent on libraries. I'm not suggesting we're going to change that fact at all. But in fact, what I'm saying is if we need to think about changing our strategies for moving forward, that influences how much space we need, what kind of storage we need, and how much money we need to spend on the various aspects of collections. And I think you should take the lead in making sure that we're aware of what those requirements and trends are.
Well, here's the problem. You talk about tactics, but at some point we'll have to rebalance the print versus digital collection. For some libraries, that happens when the digital circulation equals the print circulation. We are not there yet. I will say that, yeah, we'll definitely keep it in mind. The issue is where would we give something up? And the answer right now is the only other place to take money from our budget would be to take it away from print. So in terms of our facilities, if I could answer that question for you right now, definitively, we'd all be quite rich because we'd be out there as consultants making it right in all libraries. I'll say that it's definitely something we're keeping our eye on and we'll continue to advise you on. It's not an easy thing to solve, especially when you factor in something like streaming video to which libraries have no access. If a show comes on Amazon or Netflix and it's streaming and no DVDs of it are ever released, it's gone for as far as libraries are concerned. It will not be preserved. Once Netflix or Amazon takes it off their queue, nobody has access to it. It's a it's a huge question for libraries in terms of all our mission, delivering content, preservation of the intellectual record. It's a very interesting and challenging time, and we'll keep our eye on it. I just wish there were an easy solution. In any case, it was a good year, so we will try to keep that up. Um, and as I say, at some point, what a lot of libraries are doing is just saying, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait for digital." It's not an ideal solution, but we're doing what we can. Other questions? If not, let's take a look at the annual staff turnover report for last fiscal year. Um, It's pretty much what it has been. It's slightly more than the previous fiscal year, where we're around 18%. I would say that last July, that would be July of 2025, had quite a few, but these are all not problematic turnovers. We have people from the base who leave. We have, they get transferred out and their spouse who's working for us goes. At least one of them was a retirement that was planned long term. So I don't think looking at this that I'm seeing a problem here just so much as it's slightly higher this year than it might have been in a previous year.
Are these all voluntary?
I'm sorry?
Are these all voluntary?
Yes. We did not separate anybody involuntarily last year. Um, Other questions? We move to the staff demographics report. I hasten to point out that this is a snapshot. It's sort of like this is at the end of the fiscal year. It's not something we track over and over um, each week or anything. But the board has asked that the library makeup reflect as much as possible county demographics. And in some ways, that's not possible for us if we're going to look at the gender breakdown. We're not going to be able to match that 53% of that makeup. I'm sorry, yeah, 50.3% that is men in St. Mary's County as opposed to 49.7% women. The totals for the library are on the flip page, the back of it, versus the county. But we did break it down for full-time and part-time, and you can ask any questions about this that you want. But of the 72 employees we had at the moment, we took the survey, or 73.6% women, 23.6% men, and 4.2% saying they didn't want to say. Of those, 73.6% white, 13.9% African American, 8.3% Hispanic, 2.8% Asian, and 1.4% other. We're kind of within one person in those categories. I mean, so if we had one more African American employee, we'd be up to where that was. This is not to say that we're satisfied. We're not saying, oh, we've met the quota. All we're saying is we're doing our best. To a certain extent, it's dependent upon the people who apply for our jobs. But we do, when all things are factored in, try to make sure that our demographics at least reflect the county and in some cases would exceed it. Questions about this one? Oh, well, turning to what's happening at the library, you have a listing of events, there we go, which is broken down for you according to our strategic plans, which are our four main goals are digital literacy, embrace innovation, community gathering, and young minds. And so we've broken down the most sort of recent events in there. I will say that summer reading is a time for very big programs. And one of our biggest, it happened this month in August. How many people did we have show up for Reptile Wonders? More than 1,000, yes. Um, Including one program which had 248 people at it, all looking at big snakes and big turtles. That's more than he really is comfortable with. Hey, he made it work.
Belinda?
He had an additional show at Leonardtown because we had so many people who couldn't get in. He actually stayed and did a 30-minute extra show for us.
Cool.
So we'll report on some of those next month, but it is a time of big programs. So you see that we did have some specific digital literacy programs using AI and everyday thinking, had 11 attendees. We had function about social media. I did a digital shelf where we talked about preserving access and to ban books using digital. That was attended by 68. We sent the Chomp Saw to Patuxent Naval Air Museum. Do you know what the Chomp Saw is? Oh, everybody knows what the Chomp Saw is. Okay, well, fantastic. I don't need to talk more about it then. Um, Intro to 3D printing class, intro to Inkscape class. We scheduled 2 new mobile library stops. The mobile food bank served 177 people, and we partnered with them on that in July. We did open Lexington Park on Independence Day, and I'm really proud of our staff. Nobody else was willing to open, and the county really wanted somebody to be here. So this was the place where they were.
Did they get additional pay for that?
They did.
Okay, good.
Um, you can't have somebody come in on a holiday and not give them additional pay. So they did, but we were perfectly willing to do that.
Is
You
the
notice,
county gonna reimburse the library for the site?
I don't think so,
I
but
mean,
I
we're
can.
not even a county body.
I don't know there was that much money. So what we're going to do come budget season is remind them of what a great community partner the library is. You see that so far, and I was thinking we might give you full stats once the program's over, but you got some early today, and we have just had an incredible successful summer snacks program this year, and that's all on the community who've been so very generous. Um, Summer reading for upcoming programs lasts through August 29th, so get your books read. Bark in the Park is coming up. That's a program with dogs. Reptile Wonders is coming up. Um, we have Intro to Tinkercad and for 3D design software at Leonardtown. Summer crafts for kids for Charlotte Hall. So we will be very busy throughout August. So lots going on at your library, and this is just a sample. I mean, the first time you asked, I gave you the full monthly schedule and you said it's too much. So we
Good.
are having a great success with our programs.
I do have one question.
Sure.
The Maryland Mobile Food Bank, I know it goes to Charlotte Hall. Are they also going to Ridge now, or no, it's just the one location?
Brittany's in. Brittany can answer.
Yeah, Brittany, go ahead.
I believe they've partnered with Mobile to go to their Ridge stop. They only come to Charlotte Hall. We've tried to get them at the other branches, but because of, I believe they base their visitation and where they go on the demographics and the neighborhoods within the county. But I know they have started partnering with Mobile to go to specific stops with them.
So is that notated in under the events? Of the library?
I only give the numbers for when they come to Charlotte Hall. I'm not sure how.
No, is it the, food bank is notated on under the events on the library website.
Correct.
So will the food banks for the other locations also be noted on the events page? Or do you know them?
Do you mean,
Work with mobile to
Yeah.
see how they,
do you mean that we should post where the food bank is going?
That's a good idea. I mean, it's
So-
always.
so realist, I'll be honest, that would be kind of hard
Yeah.
to maintain. We do have a flyer on our bulletin board that has a QR code that goes directly to the food bank site of all of their upcoming visits, not only to Charlotte Hall, but where they are anywhere in the state of Maryland.
Right. So we partner with them for Charlotte Hall, but they have their own thing so that their events don't show, all of their events aren't our events. So we put only our events on our events page.
Perhaps we can think about putting the QR code there just for community information. If that's going to be something that's live and constant, I don't want to have to keep changing it.
Right, I was just thinking more if it was with our library system. I wasn't thinking of just throughout the state.
Oh, it's only with Charlotte Hall that we
Yeah.
have the
Okay.
official partnership there. So, yeah. We were hoping to work with them for the mobile library at one point, but that didn't work out.
Well, they did do a partner for a while, but I think that the stop itself didn't work out for the mobile library. They just weren't getting enough people. If I'm correct. I think that's true, but Sandy would be able to answer that. I'm not sure what happened with that stop. I remember that they were going back and forth on it for a while.
Yeah, I actually think they are still
Okay.
stopping at the same place at the same time,
Right.
but we're not working together. They're just there at the same time. But I can follow up with Sandy and ask and get back to you.
All right. We'd like to give you updates on two grants. One is just ended and one is just getting ready to begin. So the first one, I'm going to let Amy, who administered the grant, tell you about that.
Hey, so that was the closing reading grants or gaps with trained volunteers grant, and I know that the report went out to all of you. But the gist of that grant was we used the Story Champs curriculum. It's a curriculum that can be purchased from the Language Dynamics company. It is a research tested, validated curriculum, and so we were looking at that curriculum in order to teach background knowledge and to help students understand the structure of stories and to apply that when they're creating their own narratives. And so what we did was we recruited and we trained and we scheduled and we supported 20 long-term volunteers. They worked off-site with our student population for 6 months. And we had 4 after-school sites that we were supporting students at. And so a huge thank you to Building Bridges, to Little People, Jarbo Center Daycare, and to Boys and Girls Clubs of Southern Maryland. Because when we talked to them about this and we said, hey, we would like to see how volunteers and children can work together with this curriculum. They were all very excited and super happy to work with us, and really delightful to work with. And so we send our volunteers after training to work with children with this curriculum in small groups, and they learned about sequencing, story elements, vocabulary, and information retelling as well. So not just fiction stories, but we worked with them on nonfiction narratives as well. And we had different amounts of time that some of the students were able to work with volunteers. We had one site that had 3 days of instruction, one site with 2 days of instruction, and one site with 1 day of instruction. The site that we did some testing on, we used the official testing product that the company offers again, it's a validated assessment. And when we tested the kids after 3 days of instruction over 18 weeks. They had improved about 30% on those, what are called narrative language measures. So storytelling, story elements, being able to retell stories in the correct sequence and with the appropriate details. And so that's kind of the academic piece of that grant. But some of the things that also came out of it were relationships between the volunteers and the students. There was wonderful modeling going on from our volunteers who were teaching our students. The program staff noticed social changes, behavioral changes for the positive in students. The students really thrived with the attention that our volunteers were giving them. So not only did they grow academically, but we did see gains socially and behaviorally. And so kind of all together, it seemed to us to be a success. And our staff worked super, super hard on this. Rita and Melissa, who you saw here earlier, were incredible at putting this program together and working on site. Lots of the behind the scenes pieces as we worked out how to put the curriculum in order so that our volunteers would have a program to follow, and so that our volunteers didn't have to struggle to work things out on their own, and that it was consistent from group to group as different volunteers worked with groups. So our staff did a really amazing job. And the one that was, I think, the most important to me, there was one child who just hated reading and hated books. And we were like, no, because we're librarians, we love for kids to enjoy reading and to like books and to like learning. And that one kid who was so down on the whole thing and just so mad and so didn't want to get into it, like we won her over by the end. And she enjoyed reading. She enjoyed working with the volunteers at the end. She brought her family to the library. We were super, super pleased by being able, and that was a kind of illustrative of some of the gains and results that we got from the program. So we were super thrilled that we were able to do it. It was a lot of work. We're super grateful to the Maryland State Library Agency for bringing that grant to us. And so we are kind of in an evaluation phase of what the next steps are for this. Building Bridges is still using that program. They used it for their summer sessions, their summer camps. And so we're going to evaluate with them how that went and what the library's next steps are with this program.
Is there a plan for a long-term data collection to like go back and measure the same kids in a few years and see?
So that would be amazing. It is hard to follow up, unfortunately.
Agreed.
In terms of working with our community partners, because they were the main caretakers of children, like so they house, of course, like their personal data and things like that. And so we were only collecting, anonymized research data. So in that sense, it's hard for us to continue to follow up, but we certainly do hope so. Other questions that you have?
I thought the change in reading readiness, even in a short period of time, was astounding. And so very grateful to you and your staff for making this program work out in the community here. And I will, with the local management board, be presenting the results of this just to let them know, hey, this is happening. So good work. Thank you. It actually does bring up a grant we don't have yet, but we're investigating. Is everybody familiar with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program? Children up to age 5 every month get a book mailed to them. There is state money available for that. We're investigating becoming an affiliate of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which will enable us to begin to leverage that money. There's already a foundation that's taking care of it in some areas of the county. We would like to partner with them using the state money to expand that, especially here in Lexington Park. So details on that as it develops. We won't be able to get any money until next fiscal year, so starting next July, but we're working on that and hopefully that's going to come through. Next grant I want to talk about is for this fiscal year. It's from the Library Services and Technology Act. That's the federal money that gets passed down to the state. It is dispersed by the state on a competitive basis. We got a $27,500 grant for new facilities master study. So at the time I submitted this, I wasn't aware that they really think 10 years is good. Ours is 5 years old. And well, let's go ahead and do another one and think about some of the planning we're going to do. And they said, fine, we're going to give this to you. There is a condition. The condition is that your plan will coalesce with the Southern Maryland Regional Library Association plan, that you will cooperate, that you will consider projects together. If you decide you're not going to do that, fine, but you need to notify us. I'm also in receipt of an email from the state librarian strongly encouraging us to do precisely that. Work with SMRLA. Involve them first. Talk about possibilities. There is precedent for getting a fair amount of money from a different pool than we are eligible for to get our capital grant. That's state money going straight to regional libraries. So that state money, in fact, built the original Charlotte Hall building. It has also built a library in Washington County that's bigger than any of ours that houses the Western Regional and the Washington County Main Library. So while we have, a small grant, we're moving forward, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. The prize down the road for doing this, I think, is possibly getting exactly what we most want for Charlotte Hall, which is either a new or certainly in an expanded facility. So that's kind of where we are with that grant. And it will be the usual process. We'll be putting out an RFP, in fact, already next week. We put that out nationally. We get bids back. We'll also share it with people who have successfully completed this project. So the last group that did ours also just recently did the one for SMRLA, and they're in Cleveland, Ohio, and they're a very prestigious firm. That might be somebody we're going to reach out to and just say, hey, consider bidding for this. So that's that grant. And it seems like in part given to us so that we will consider how we're going to work cooperatively moving forward.
Yeah, that has been a concern. That was brought up at Tuesday's meeting. The concern that that this needs to be a cooperative process. I think there was some anxiousness that not necessarily coming from this board, but just the perception that the county might be ready to throw them out, and we don't want to give at least my opinion, don't want to give that impression at all.
I totally agree. And yeah, and we had talked in June about let's get all the players together so that we can have the big discussion. And I think that is now planned for September.
Yes, we are going to invite Ashley and also Morgan, the state librarian, who can attend virtually to our September meeting to start talking about that process. And I think it's going to be good for us to start there and have some conversations. Is this a good partnership? I think it is. I think Ashley would like to. She's already started to investigate what that pot of money looks like for them. So I think that this has the possibility of getting SMRLA a completely new space where they are, as well as expanding us. So I do think that that's the first thing we want to shoot for.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
So speaking of the Charlotte Hall renovation update, we did online share Smurler's facilities plan with you. We don't have the whole thing here because it's well over 100 pages long, as is ours. You can find our current one on our website. Go to the right about us, drop down under strategic plans. The 106-page facility study is there. And you can see what it looks like right now. Um, their facilities plan has a couple of options, and one would be a new space for them, but another is what could it look like inside? And they are considering moving the restrooms that our staff use and the um, kitchen and meeting and staff room facility close to where our library entrance would be as part of that. So they're already thinking how would we better get along with St. Mary's County in those terms. So I think where we are would be working with them on what that looks like and how we might be able to kind of make sure that we are working together and possibly towards an even larger goal than just that. But in terms of the facility itself, right now, and I told you I'd have an update for you today. I got some information in July. We're waiting to see how much money, if any, we get from the state capital grant program. And we won't know until January when the governor's budget comes out. So right now, the plan is in sort of waiting, and as soon as we find that out, depending on how much we get, we're going to move forward. But the county has said it is moving forward. It is not stopping this project. So the bathrooms, the HVAC, I hope the windows which leak, new stacks, a refresh would all be possible just with the amount of money the county has. And if we're looking at something further down the road for a future expansion, that sets this building up for then an expansion for something better. And it kind of gets long-standing problems, especially with ADA accessibility, solved. It really needs work now. So they're moving forward. They have no intention of stopping. They're just waiting to see what if we get money we get, and then the plans we finish and the work we sort of bid out next July.
So you don't anticipate that work interfering with any future plans, but instead would mesh well with those plans?
No, they would not interfere with any future plans. They would simply set up future plans, in fact.
All right.
So, hey, we've put an AC, a new HVAC system in. We've put a new, this, that, and the other thing in. Now we want to think about this foundation done something bigger and better.
Yep.
So no, it's not going to interfere. I think it enhances.
All right. Yeah, because I went through the whole plan and
Yeah.
I noticed like the deficiencies in the HVAC, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are with Charlotte Hall. I'm sorry that it's kind of a waiting game at this point, but that's, where we are. Questions about it? Do you wish to take a break if there are no questions? Or you just want to plow through?
I think we can continue. Everybody good? Okay.
All right. Well, I've got two things for you to please consider approving. The first, as you're probably aware, is that the penny's going away. So there's now a state policy for how to deal with that. And we have it printed in your penny rounding policy. Round only cash transactions. If somebody comes up with an exact cent, then you don't have to round it. We're not rounding electronic or check transactions. Those get paid to the exact cent. Round the final total only. And then they give you guidelines for the 5-cent rule, which is if it's 1 or 2 or 6 or 7, it gets rounded down. If it's more than that, it gets rounded up. Obviously, if it's an exact amount of 0 or 5 cents, you don't do any rounding on it. So we do need to have a policy in place for just how we're going to handle this once the penny is largely going away. And if we've got pennies on hand, we can make exact change, but there might come a time when we don't have pennies on hand.
This is a state, this is in compliance with the rest of the state is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
It references the House bill that passed.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm seeing.
House Bill 1026, Subtitle 6.
So do you need a motion to approve this policy?
Yes, a motion to approve, a second,
moved.
and yeah.
Chuck moves to approve this policy.
Sorry, I have a question. Why are we citing the House bill?
Why?
Did it pass? Yeah, why did it pass both? Is it now law?
Yes, it is law.
Then why are we citing the House bill? It would be in Comar, right?
It's law now.
I don't
But-
know if it has a Comar number yet.
I haven't found one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there isn't a Comar number yet, Judy.
There
Okay, so then I would say we
change it
approve
to when that is,
conditional.
but we just want the policy now.
So I would say we could, move to approve it conditional with it being updated with the correct Comar reference.
Sure.
Yeah, we've had to do that a number of times, and that's no problem.
Chuck, does your motion still stand with the amendment? So can we consider that a second?
Yeah, I suggest this policy is fine and move that we accept it as written.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept it as written and a motion to accept it with the amendment after we have a Comar number to reference the Comar number.
Does anybody want to second either one?
A second with the citing the amendment number once that is received.
Okay, Dorothy seconds the approval of the policy with the amendment add the Comar number after it's received. All in favor of the amending this policy after it comes out, but accepting it as written now?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone oppose or abstain? There you
All
go.
right, when we know a Comar number, we will bring it back to you for
What?
subsequent approval.
I don't think you need to bring it back for
All right, when
subsequent
we've got
approval.
Comar number, we'll just change it.
Yeah, because I
All right,
think that
okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. The second relates to artificial intelligence. This is kind of a vexed issue in libraries these days. And you do have this policy, and the parts that we're going to be looking at are in red. Everything that's in black is existing. So you don't have to worry about those things for the most part. So the publishers have not necessarily been doing a good job or even a poor job of identifying what is and is not generated by artificial intelligence. There are now whole publishing houses, that do nothing but artificial intelligence. So one of the reasons why we dropped the Hoopla service is that suddenly 100,000 titles appeared in it that were AI junk. There was no human oversight. You couldn't guarantee their accuracy. I'm not going to say everything generated by AI is bad, just so much as for libraries, it represents a collection issue and an issue of things that are donated to us. So we want to look at our collection policies. And this is basically part of the material selection policy that will address some of the changes that are now happening because of AI. So on the second page, you see that we'll say, we not accept work that is AI generated. Authors must acknowledge whether or not their work uses AI. And we also, at the bottom of the page, want to add that caveat to our local author form for submissions by local authors. And they'll say by signing and submitting a form, they have read the policy and that their work is not AI generated. We define AI generated content as text, images, video, or audio, which is wholly or partially created by any artificial intelligence model or machine-based learning software. Over on the next page, there's a whole section of sort of about artificial intelligence, what it is, how we define it, how we will try to deal with it, make reasonable efforts that to make sure that our materials that we circulate were created by human authors or from organizations that can clearly demonstrate that it was by identifiable human authors. The final addition is on the last page. We're adding this as a procedure for staff on how to deal with this. If it's inadvertently added to the collection, it should be removed. If the item removed was ordered and added in collection less than 60 days ago, we'll notify the vendor and inquire about receiving a refund, or notify that vendor that they've got an AI generated item. And libraries are pressuring publishers as part of, they have all kinds of metadata that goes with every book. We're encouraging them to identify it, but they don't even always know themselves. You know, somebody, I just saw that an author had to give back like a $2 million advance because the book was accused of being AI generated. So this is going to be an ongoing program, and the problem, this is just sort of the initial step we're taking to try to make sure that our collection is human created and edited with an eye for accuracy.
Yeah, appreciate
Michael, I'm curious, why would we object to an image possibly being in a book that's AI created? Say the cover of the book, or just there's an illustration of the book, and it's acknowledged that it's AI generated image.
We don't.
It says no images, doesn't it?
No, it says, so I actually
If you
have
go
a
back up to the
clarification.
previous, okay, after the previous page, it says no images, I think.
So I have a clarification on the first page. It says the library does not accept work that is completely AI generated.
Where this says wholly or partially created.
Oh, that's
And it does
no,
say
the line above. The
any type of
library does not accept work that is AI generated. I suggest adding that is completely AI generated.
Well, then you have to change the next sentence down.
Yes,
Right? And it
authors
says any
must.
content, including images. I mean, is it ethical to create an image using AI as long as you acknowledge that's what you've done?
Yes, so that's in the next policy, which is the materials selection policy, which it says it's AI assistant, which includes images, text, video, or audio, partially created.
So I would submit that I think potentially this policy is premature. I will be the first to tell you, I do not like AI generated anything. I can't read it. It gives me a headache, and I can spot it pretty quickly most of the time. But I also understand that it is a quickly growing field, and I could see a time in a year or 2 years where we can't tell the difference. And not just that we can't tell the difference, but that I'm already seeing some young people who are starting to write like AI, even when they're writing it themselves, just with those same stylistic choices. So the question I have is if 2 years from now, even next year, we have a bestseller that is AI generated, but people really like it, is the library really not going to include that in the collection? We had the same challenges when we started to look at when a lot of like the drawing houses and things, especially for like video, for movies, when they were starting to have computer generated movies for especially like Disney brought in
CGI,
that,
yeah.
the CGI.
Mhm.
And like, again, like I don't love CGI as an art form either, but I think this might be good to revisit in a few months instead of writing a policy now because this world is changing so fast.
So the problem is we are getting AI generated content that is not factual.
Right. And that is the flip side. that
Yes,
It comes
so-
out and it's not, it
and-
doesn't have any check.
So we're getting it, we're ordering it, you
Mhm.
know, on a certain subject. What was the one that was very obviously AI generated? Brittany, do you remember? There's been several.
The
where
fun-
we get it
yeah.
and we're like, oh, this is not good. This looks terrible. It's poor quality. It's just, you know, the content is it's actually not written well. And so we are sending it back to the vendor.
And I think you absolutely should. And I totally agree with you. I'm wondering if we can reject it on the basis of quality rather than the basis of AI generation.
But isn't that true with everything you buy for the library? Anything you reviewed and you would find it unacceptable, we don't buy it. You're not under any obligation to buy anything. Is that correct?
Yes and no. I
So, I
mean,
mean,
that's
so why-
also a matter of opinion because, you know, some authors I would never buy their material, but they are very popular. So,
Right, but that's what your collection expertise is about, deciding what to put in the library and what not to put in the library. I'm certainly not advocating buying AI generated material, but I just wonder, do you need this policy? Do you need us behind you to do this? You can reject anything you choose to based on your expertise as librarians. We're not telling you what to buy or what not to buy. I don't think we ever have.
I think the policy also comes into play with local authors. Because if we don't have a policy in place, they can argue with us of, well, there isn't like we have had submissions from local authors that were blatantly written by AI, and you can tell that. And like Marianne was saying, if the content isn't true, or they're putting like these QR codes in these books that say scan here for yoga stretches, but it takes you to a website that may have inappropriate content. I just feel like we need to protect ourselves a little bit more. And with us adding the AI assisted content in there is kind of the neutral balance of we will accept or not accept work.
Could I
Right, but you
interject
can do
here?
that
Please
now.
do.
I don't
not
think
sure-
there's anything, I don't believe there's anything that is written today that's not assisted by AI. And the reason is that spell checkers, grammar checkers, there's a program called Grammarly, which my students use regularly, that changes the voice, that changes the words that are used, that changes the vocabulary. And I don't believe that any professional author today would not be using those tools. And therefore, it'd be very difficult, it seems to me, to find out whether or not. And I think the whole problem is knowing whether or the question is, when does editing become writing? And 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 I think that unless you're able to somehow discern whether the author has used this as an editing tool to help them figure out, are they using the right vocabulary? Is their spelling correct? Is their sentence structure correct? Is their punctuation correct? Those are all useful things that AI does, that helps. AI-based tools do that help. Once it goes beyond that, I think it's going to be very difficult for you or anyone else to figure out whether they have used it or not. And
So-
I think that's the problem with this policy is not that it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea. And your comment that if you're getting things that are materially incorrect, they ought to be returned for quality, as opposed to the fact that what created their incorrectness. Because I can write something that's materially incorrect, and the fact that it wasn't ever developed by AI doesn't change a darn thing. So I think that should be the basis, as opposed to some idea that you're going to be able to tell when somebody has used AI. And I got to tell you, it's the biggest problem that universities are facing today, is how to know when a student wrote something or when a chatbot wrote it.
So
And it's becoming harder and harder because the chatbots are getting better and better. I used to be able to tell immediately, and now I'm not so sure. I
so
just throw that into this discussion for what it's worth.
so I'm gonna suggest that we just pause on this policy. However, Brittany worked hard on this and she based it on what other libraries are doing. So we are just following our profession in putting this in our policy. So we will go back and do some research and come back with something else. But for now, we will base those decisions with local authors on quality. And if we get a complaint, we will let them know to come to you. I'm just kidding. Please, I'm just kidding.
Give them my phone number.
That's,
I
I think
suggest that
that's
we
fine.
develop
I
a
mean,
list of, I'm sorry, Judith.
yeah, I'm saying
No,
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
Give them our phone numbers, give them our email. Happy to talk to local authors if they have a problem with your discretion. We totally support your knowledge and expertise and experience in this area. I'm not saying that we totally support it. I just don't know if this policy is going to get you where you need to be, or or if it's even going to help you the way it's written, because we support you on rejecting material that's not of the standard or quality or the nature that you want in our libraries, for whatever reason that might be, legally.
All right, well, I can give you a specific example of how it's changed in support of what Chuck just said. It used to be that a voice to text sounded like this. I am reading very well. And now it's so much that you can tell it's AI generated voice because there's practically no inflection, but it sounds human. So it's getting harder and harder to tell. So my suggestion on top of this is that we take a look at, there's probably a list of publishers that are AI slop houses. So let's just say we're not going to buy from these, not as an official board policy, just as a purchasing policy.
Library
And
operation.
so I think that will help solve the problem. I've used this example before. I can't find it, but at one point on Hoopla, when I was investigating this and I wrote an article about it, which was not AI generated. My favorite example was the AI generated guide to edible wild mushrooms. What could go wrong if they made a mistake? And it really was a book, and it disappeared. And I know that they said, this one goes too far. All right, well, we will move on for right now then.
All right. I just wanted to say, like, I've been working as a writer and editor for more than 30 years. And what I'm concerned about as a patron is being able to know whether a book that like checked off in the library or like bought at a store, is whether it was written by a human or written by AI. Like I don't know if the major publishers have like a truth in advertising principle, or if there's some sort of regulation in place.
The writing community tends to be cracking down on contracts for even lucrative ones for authors that's AI written. It's not fair, I think, is the basis of this. The big publishers have been rejecting stuff they know. The trouble is even they don't always know. But it's primarily coming more from what I'm going to call AI farms and not the major publishers or even the reputable smaller ones.
Well, I would like to say, I do like the term you have in here, AI assisted content. I think that really does a lot and makes it more specific. It doesn't give, it says they can only, the assisted is only these items. For example, editing, is that the right punctuation? Those types of things. So I do like that, that you put that in there.
Yeah. We had a conference I went to in May, and it was a session on AI, and like my takeaway was, if you don't know what you're writing about, when much you think the machine is going to know.
Well, AI robots, watch out, Brittany is coming for you privately.
That's right.
But I do think this is an excellent idea.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that you're aware of the issue and are really staying on top of it.
Yeah. And I will say that through Ingram, if the item is marked as not returnable, we have told selectors not to buy it because that's a good indication that it may not be a reputable author or content. Yeah.
That's a good way to check. Yeah. All right. So now we're moving on to the approval of the EALs and credit card reconciliation. We have both June and July, and I am trusting that all of you have already looked this over. So I'm looking for approval of the EALs for June and July, or any conversation we need to have first.
I make a motion that we accept the EALs for June. We have July.
Yes, you have June and July. Yes.
Can we do one at a time?
Yes, you can. So Dorothy makes a motion to accept June EALs. Just June. Just June.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're doing one at a time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Belinda asked us to do one at a time.
Sorry.
Bob seconds. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Can I get a motion to approve the July EALs?
So moved.
John moves to approve the July EALs.
I second.
Dorothy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Okay. So the next pieces, we're jumping down to new trustee business, the fiscal year 2027 director goals. I do have those.
All I need is a chance to review them. So maybe I will get back with you all next month and just say, of course, I'm going to accept the goals you give me. I'm not going to do that.
And just,
But yeah, so I may have an addition or two that I'd also like to throw in there. But so I will look at those, and next month we can discuss them. Don't need to do it now.
yeah. And I just wanted to let board members know you have a slightly different printout than Michael does, because you have I didn't separate out the goals piece, but you did receive that via email that has the goals separate. What you have here is just the evaluation, and the goals are at the end, so that you do have that and it's there. And then you also have it all via email.
Did Amy leave? She's going to be very happy. We're going to be developing a plan for solar power.
Yes. So actually, we can go through these, I guess. And we
No,
can
that's okay.
Go through them here
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you.
We do have a couple of other things to get to. So let me review and what's that?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's actually, they were doing an investigation. I said, we'll start with the library. So there is movement there. So I think that we have the option of doing it now. Doing something beyond solar panels, geothermal heating. Oh, be still my beating heart. But I think that might not be within our budget, but I think that it's worth talking to them about. So go on then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I can read out loud what they are, just so.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I just meant the next item, which is
Yep. Then the youth member of the library board of trustees, which we discussed previously as something we wanted to table, where we were asking if we wanted to open up for applications, having a non-voting youth member of the library board of trustees, as was passed as part of the state law that it was an option for library boards. Discussion.
Just for background, what grade level are we talking about? Like, is it like a high school senior?
I don't think the law specifies. I would probably open it to juniors and seniors. And that can also be something that could potentially help them with college admissions.
Certainly.
As community service.
As far as is there a minimum qualification set in terms of academics? Or is that at the discretion of the board?
Yeah, all of that, the law did not specify anything at all.
So what would be the guidelines for them? I mean, do we have something, let's say if it's a student from Chapticon, we have our meetings at 3 o'clock, would they be able to come to like some park meetings, Atlanta town meetings? Would we establish a guideline if we approve that, they'd have to attend so many sessions a year?
We could discuss that. We also have moved those meetings to accommodate people like me who have work schedules, so we could move the meetings again to accommodate a student if we needed to. That's a good
School's
point.
generally out about 2:30.
For high
depending on-
schoolers, yeah,
depending
they're
on the
usually
school.
250 at Leonardtown.
Sharon, are you advocating that we should do this?
I am advocating nothing. I am asking for discussion.
Okay. Is anybody advocating that we should do this?
And you don't have to. It's entirely optional.
You get a sense. Is this something somebody wants to do? And we're going to talk about that as opposed to.
If nobody's interested, I think then the conversation's over. I mean, it became law, so I just said we need to bring it back and have you discuss it. But if it is, you don't have to.
I think my initial reaction is it's just going to extend meetings with one more person to discuss, and I'm not sure we're going to get a whole lot out of it. The student probably would, but are we here to educate them or to work for the library?
Well, fine with me if nobody.
I agree with Paul.
So it sounds like your conversation's over then. How, you know?
Just to throw out a different thought. Across civic engagement, we are seeing a decline in young people joining things, being involved. Girl Scouts, churches, doesn't matter. And part of that is because they have withdrawn and are focused in other spheres. And part of that is because it's not made accessible to them. And things like my comments about the AI policy would come probably much faster from a younger person than me because they have a different perspective. They have different needs in the collection. They have different priorities for what the library has that we are not necessarily representing well, being that we are all not that age. So that is a thing to think about, that if we are trying to bring up community needs, that is a gap that none of us are that part of the community.
Can we put something out, like on our on the website or at the libraries? I don't, not sure how we would word it, but are there any youth interested in doing something like this? And that could give us
gauge interest.
Yeah, some information too on whether there would be someone that would be interested in doing that.
We could do like an information session. What does your library board do?
I would
publicize it for like
Yeah.
the high schools and say that we're considering and just find out if even if the youth think it's a good idea. Because again, we don't have anyone here. We're just guessing.
So
Aaron brings up a good point that I had really considered, and that is having a different perspective. And I could be convinced to do it, but at first blush, I didn't see any benefit.
The school board does have a youth member. Obviously, they have a very nice built-in way of getting one because it's a student from the schools. But if you are interested in it, I don't think you need to make a decision now other than to say this is a possibility. So think about how you want to move forward then.
I was just going to say, we visit the high schools, the mobile library does. So if you wanted a, focus group, there you go. The kids that visit the mobile library might be a good place to start. And I know our library staff also go to the high schools. So you know, if you want them to ask that question, we could. I'm sure the schools would work with us, you know, for early release if the, you know, you didn't want to change your meeting time or whatever.
That's true too.
Mhm.
That's a good idea. And I didn't think about it. They could join virtually. I mean, they wouldn't have to.
Mhm. They could.
Something we.
I mean, I said they could, and I mean, our meetings are always open to the public. I'm not sure we've ever had a high school student log in just to watch a meeting. And that's one way to encourage them to see what does the library board do? Here's our meeting. But I think we're talking about two different things. Somebody being an active member of the board versus doing a focus group of what do high schoolers or teens look for or need in a library that they're not getting. That's an interesting question, but that's not the same question as being on the board.
I think the thing that we were talking about, Judith, was trying to gauge interest from high schoolers with a focus group or with some kind of presentation about what the library board members do.
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting to ask them, and I know we've done customer surveys, but if we're in the high schools, it would be interesting and it doesn't have to be formal, casual conversations with our staff is, what are you guys looking for? What do you like about the library? What do you not like about the library? What do we do? What else do we need to do? And just have those conversations with the community. That's what we're looking for is, are we serving that community well?
I am not sure, being the parent of three teenagers, well, they're a little older than that now, but I'm not sure that if you asked a question like that, you would get a fair response in like a 5-minute conversation. So that's
You might not. I mean, you might and you might not. Maybe 3/4 of the conversations are not productive, but it's the little nuggets you get that I think can be really helpful. My
I
daughter's still a teenager and she has lots of opinions about the library because they use it frequently.
yes.
So I
And
hear every time opinions about what was good, what they liked, what they didn't like about the library. So I mean, it's two different things we're talking about. I don't see the value of putting a student, a non-voting member on the board. I don't really see the value of it. And it could, like I said, we're trying to move ahead efficiently and effectively with our meetings and our decision making. Not that it would impede it, but I'm not sure. I don't really see the value of it. Having their input as library users, that's really valuable to me.
and how would you propose having continual input without having someone join the board? Because I think that
Well, I think
the
I would
benefit
be,
of someone joining is continual input and not just a one-off conversation.
I think I look at the library staff, they've already said they have contacts at the high schools. So I would look to them to what creative ideas do they have. But
I
remember,
mean,
we're talking about finance here, policies down into minutia sometimes, grants, long-term projects. Not the things that I think you're going to get with a different conversation with high schoolers of what do you need from your library and what do you like, what are you getting from it, what are you not getting from it. That's an entirely different conversation. Um, are they going to weigh into our credit card usage and our EULs and our budget planning? From my experience, no, they're not going to have a lot to say with that. Is it experience for them to say they're on a library board? Sure, it's an experience to them, but I'm not sure it's going to help us.
Marianne?
I was just going to say that we, as the library staff, are already asking the teens what they want. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we need another focus group. I thought you meant ask them if they would want to be involved with the board.
That is what I meant.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my understanding too, is that this is soliciting potential interest. Would anyone even be interested? And that can be a first step. And if somebody is, you could develop guidelines and explore that with that person or those people.
So do we think it's worth asking the librarians to potentially judge interest and come back to us next month about anyone, if there were people who were interested?
It needs to be later because school doesn't start until.
Right. No, sorry. Totally true. Probably like October or November.
Can I say that I think that you should develop, as the board, have another discussion on this and develop guidelines as to what you do believe this board member will be, like what, like have just, and it doesn't have to be set in stone, but you should have your guideline as to they're a non-voting member, what you expect from them, what you think they can get from this before we just go and ask people, hey, would you like to be on the board? Like we need to have something in place.
Other libraries are already developing them,
Right.
so we just need to share them with you all.
Yes, so we've already had that coming across our listservs as to application processes and stuff like that. So we can do that, but I think that before we reach out, we need a little bit more structure from you to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is it also true that your listservs are talking about the scope of that work and like what, okay, so then
Yeah.
can you provide us more
Developing
of that
policy. Yeah,
information?
sure.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Please have her do so.
Hold on just a sec.
I'm a little worried that we would get a young person who would then represent what the young people think. that, that bringing a person on the board to sort of represent a coalition of thoughts seems to me to be the wrong approach. If we want to get an opinion of a bunch of high school kids about AI or about any of the other policies, why don't we think about maybe setting up a temporary task force or a temporary group where we would go to the schools or the libraries and say, we'd like to get 4 or 5 kids together and we'd like them to think with us about the subject of, for example, AI. Am I making sense? I'm worried that you bring one person on with the idea that somehow they're going to represent what.
This isn't different than what the education board is doing. It's just giving them an opportunity to participate in a community involvement. It's not bringing them on for their ideas. It's bringing them on for just another person, their opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
And like Marianne said, we already do reach out and talk to youth and the community. We do a survey every other year with the entire community in which we ask these questions.
That makes sense. I understand. Okay. Thank you.
But that is our job. That is our job, is to bring our ideas to the table individually and collectively.
May we start with,
I'm going
please,
to,
we will get
yeah,
you
so I'm,
some sample policies that have been shared on our listserv, and you can have a future conversation about this, because right now it doesn't seem like you're moving towards a resolution on the best action. So let's see what other people are doing. You can say, that looks good, and we can continue the conversation.
yes,
That's a
absolutely.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to interrupt us for just 1 second. Liv and Mary Beth are here. And Liv and Mary Beth also were here on July 4th. So we wanted to recognize them as well. We are going to be getting you a certificate of recognition for that. So that you know how very much personally I appreciated it. And as I said earlier, when the county put out a call, the library was the only one who answered. So thanks to you so much, we were able to try to make sure that on a day where heat indexes could be life-threatening, that there was an option for people. Thank you so very much. You want to say anything?
I think that's what's amazing about our library staff is that like people just don't even hesitate. They just say, yeah, people need us and step up. We just get to work with really incredible people here. And so thank you all so much.
Yeah,
Really
thank you. All right, so now I will entertain a motion to close the meeting for a personnel issue.
So moved.
Chuck moves to close the meeting and Bob seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. And then we will write that down, make sure that we have documentation on it, and we can close 4:50. I can close